Morning, everybody. We're excited to have you here today. I want to welcome you to our eGap 2.0 presentation related to our 21st century RFA that is out now. We feel like that you will be very excited of the new updates with the 2.0 and the new updates that you've probably seen in the RFA. So we're excited to have you here today. If there's anything we can do for you anytime, please let us know. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Finley, who is our expert, 21st century expert, and she is going to lead us through this presentation. I will follow the chat room during the presentation. If there are any questions, we will answer those at the end and or send those out in a memo. Thanks a lot. Camille?
Thank you. Good morning, all, and welcome to our 21st century eGap 2.0 training. We look forward to imparting some new information to you, and hopefully it will assist you in writing your application. This morning's session is available to all, but particularly I'm focusing on first-time grantees. So we'll be taking this at a very leisurely pace in order to make sure that we hit all of the high points. If you are an experienced eGap participant or user, we may be moving a little bit slow for you, but hopefully you'll still learn something and can begin the navigation process. We're going to be looking at accessing the application to write your 21st century grant, navigating through the screens, the difference between the district level and the site level, some budgeting, some validations, submitting the application, and then also printing the applications. If you have any questions along as we go through this process, please put those questions in the chat, and I'll periodically stop and ask Annette to look at those and see if we can answer some of those questions. Anything I cannot answer, we will have available in FAQ memo in the next 2 weeks. And you are also able to send us an email through the 21st century email address so that you can submit any of those questions. So let's get started. Okay, in case you were not aware, eGap stands for the Electronic Grant Application Process. Previously we have, or currently we have a 1.0 system. And as we enter into this grant cycle, we at the 21st century team will be the first to use eGap 2.0. So welcome on the front end to this innovation. So accessing eGap 2.0, a little bit different than eGap 1.0. The access is at https://alabama.egrantsmanagement.com. That was emailed to you either by Ms. Rucker or by myself in the last 48 hours. So you should have that in order to access it. When you get into the system, the screen will look similar to what you see on your screen now, and you'll see in the upper right-hand corner where it says eGap 2.0 sign in. And so once you've double-clicked that, it'll request that you enter your email address and your password. For first-time grantees, that information should have come to you. If you are an LEA and you're writing a 21st century grant for the first time, you will be utilizing your eGrant pass or your eGap password and email address that you currently use. If for some reason you're having difficulty, you can select forgot password and log in and just follow the prompts to reset your password. Once you've signed in, you're going to come to your funding application screen. And so what you're going to do is you're going to hover over the word funding over here to your left. And that'll bring your drop down to this section here. And you'll select funding applications. Please make sure that it says 2023 because your application is, you are writing for fiscal year 2023. And the competitive funding application you'll be writing for, it should say 21st century. And then you'll click on that 21st century link. Also, just so you're aware, we are going to post, Erica will be able to send this out in Friday notes, this slide deck, but we'll also be posting the presentation. So you'll click on the link that says 21st century. The next screen you'll see will be your sections page. And your sections page will provide you a lot of information, but your focus is going to be right here at this section where it says 21st century. Okay. And this is your district level or your CBO level. So it's LEA or non-LEA level. So this level is the umbrella, and underneath that we'll find some additional things. For example, if you have more than one site at your location, that's where you're added under this. So you'll see that there is a drop down for district level. But the sections page is your launch page. And while you're working on the launch page, you're going to be hovering over funding and it's going to take you to sections. So from your original page, you're coming to sections. And on your sections page, these are your available categories. And the things that you're going to be looking at are these right here under 21st century. Okay. At the top of your page, it's going to give you your application status. And they should also at this point say not started. You haven't done anything yet. What you're going to do is you're going to go down to the change status where it says draft started, and you're going to click your draft started. And this will be the initiation of your new 21st century FY23 application. All of you for first-time grantees, if this is your first time applying for anything in eGap, then we will have emailed you your login and sign in, or excuse me, your login and password. And with that login and password, the person who's signing in should have access to change this status. So when you're changing your draft status from not started to draft started, these are the people that would be eligible to change that page based off of the information that you have sent to us. For new grantees, the person that is listed on the letter of intent is the person that we sent the login information to, and they would be eligible to make this change, changing it from not started to draft started. So now to navigate from one page to the next, and within your eGap application, you're going to have several sections that you're going to be looking at. You're going to be looking at your budget. You're going to be looking at your budget overview. You're going to be looking at your narrative and your related documents. So from here, you're going to use the go to, and you're going to select the page you want to look at, whether it's the current page or the next page or the sections, etc. So that's how you navigate from one section of the screen to or from one section of the application to the next. If you use the back button, it sometimes kicks you out of the system, or you will lose the information that you've input. So you need to make sure you're using your save and go to, or if you just need to navigate between pages and you don't need to save anything, use the go to button. Do not use your backspace key or your arrow back key. Okay, so here's a little bit more of a detailed explanation. Using the save and go automatically refreshes it so that you don't lose your information. You can save it and you can go to your current page. And so you're just staying on the page that you're on, but you're saving your information. You can save and go to the next page, which allows you to see the next screen in the application process. Or if you want to make a correction, you can use the save and go to the previous page. So those are your options in terms of navigating within the system. So let me stop here. Annette, do we have any questions in the chat about what we've done thus far?
Some people have not received an email from eGap yet, and so I've just asked that they email me their information so I can check on it today, activate their account. But everybody that already has an account, if something isn't working, first try to reset your password, and if that doesn't work, then email me and I will look into it this afternoon.
If you are an LEA, your system already has password and information. What will have to happen is there is someone in your LEA that is in charge of your system. Usually federal programs coordinators have that information. And so if you are part of an LEA, you should check with your federal programs coordinator so that he or she can add you to your system so that you can have access. If you are a new grantee, i.e. a CBO, an FBO, community-based organization, faith-based organization, other nonprofit, or a private entity, whether that's a private school or city government, then we would need to provide you with that information. So you'll need to put your information in the chat, and Annette will take that down and be able to send you the login and sign on information.
Everybody that had sent in a letter of intent in that category should have received an email already, but just let me know if you haven't.
Okay, and is that all the questions? So I'll move on to the next one, or next screen. Okay, our allocations page. So when we start, you won't see anything in the allocations page. Why? Because you haven't been allocated any money as of yet. And so we are excited and hopeful that each and every one of you will write a remarkable application. We will fund as many folks as possible. But this is where that funding will show up on your allocations page. And if you ever have a question about the actual funding amount, this is where it will show up. If you have applied for 150,000 and we grant you 140,000, this is where you will see the actual allocation. Okay. So when you're in your application, the default view is the district level view. And so when you use, when the drop-down box indicates the district level, the pages you're looking at relate to the entire district. So if you are part of a district, or this, not just a district, but the district meaning an LEA district or a CBO as a district, or the overarching organization. So for example, if you are part of a LEA and the LEA wants to write an application for 3 separate 21st century grants, the district level information will be for all of those separate grants combined. Or if you are a CBO and you have 3 separate grants, all of those grants will be listed under the district level combined. So that's an overarching umbrella view of all of the grants a particular subgrantee has. And when we click the drop down is when you will see the additional information. So when you pull up the district level, or when you use a drop down, excuse me, on the district level, it will give you an option of adding a grant application, deleting a grant application, or renaming a grant application. So let's say I am Doe County, and I'm going to write 2 separate applications, one for Jane School and one for Joe School. So I would add a grant application for Jane School. That would be application number 1. And I would add a second application for Joe School, number 2. so that the next set of drop downs will show me all the information for Jane, and separately I would be able to see all the information for Joe. So when you have named your application site, then you would select add application. So as a new grantee, you've chosen to submit 2 applications. You would add the first one, and then you would come back and you would add the second one. Once you've done that, you can look and you'll see under your drop down, you'll see your district level if you want to see it as an overarching umbrella view of everything that's written for a particular district, CBO, organization, and then you can see the individual grants that are listed. So in this case, they've had 2. They have building 1 and building 2. And when you hover over building 1, then you will see all of the drop downs under building 1. You'll be able to see the budget for building 1, the overview, the application details, the related documents, and the amount of money that's been allocated to that particular 21st century grant. You do have the ability, if you're submitting more than 1 application, maybe 1 application is for a smaller site, and so you may be requesting less money at that site. That's why you have the separate budgets, budget overviews, and your separate allocations. So the budget page is where is the entry point for the specific budgeting amounts. And everything with regard to the applications will be written into this document on eGrants. So before, some of my old heads, we've had forms 8, 9, 10, and 11. Those have gone away. And now everything will be in this eGap system. So in order to begin adding budgets or adding money to particular categories, you're going to select modify. So if you have attendance services that you are going to be writing for, you would select modify here, or any of the categories that will be listed, and then you will be able to add money in that particular section of the budget. So it's pulled up this function code 2110. This information will automatically show up for you, the function code. You'll select the object code, and the building application will show up. So you're going to add a line item, and then you will click on the pencil to be able to add your description. And you also have to add the amount, and it will calculate your line item total. And so here's an example, or this is the first part of it. So you're selecting your function code and your object code. And this is where on your first screen, you modified your your function code. So that's what shows up here. And then you will select, you'll see this drop down, and you'll be able to select your object code. Your location will automatically show up. Your quantity will always revert to 1 unless you change it. And you're also inputting your cost, and then the budget line item total is calculated for you. And here is an example of what now will need to go into those sections. So here is your budget narrative. So in this case, here's this is a test document. So we've selected 9130, which is after school care or after school programming. The object code for salaries, since it's a test application, that's my location. And here's my description. I have 4 teachers for the 2023-24 year. All 4 will be teachers at ABC Middle School. What they're teaching. There's 1 teacher at 12 hours per week at 36 weeks for $25 an hour, for a total of $10,000. Because I have 4 teachers, I multiply that and I get the 43.2. When I put in the quantity of 4 teachers and the amount per teacher of $10,008, it automatically calculates it at $43,200. So this is an explanation of exactly what it is you are requesting in this particular funding line item. So we need you to be very specific. No longer, again, do we have forms 8, 9, and 10, excuse me, 9, 10, and 11, where you are putting this information. It is now all going inside of eGap. And I'll stop here for questions. Annette, do we have any more questions?
Yes, there is a question about the word limit in the narrative description.
And I will double check that for you, but I believe it's 5,000 characters, but I'll double check that. I know we do. I know that there was an internal limit. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I think it's 5, but we'll double check that and we'll put that in the FAQs. Okay. All right. Next section. So these are the function codes that will be available for you to use for the 21st Century Grant. And this will also be listed on the website and will be available for when Erica sends out the email on Friday. And just a couple of notes for you, because there are some categories that are no longer available. And so we wanted to make sure that we streamline the services to the appropriate categories that we have available. And we'll put this in the FAQs, but 2290, which is other instructional staff services, that's where your external evaluator is going to go. 2290, other instructional staff services, your external evaluator. 2215, that's where you're going to have your professional development, which is instructional staff development services. 2215 is professional development, or PD. Next big category, and I'll have to double check this. I don't see this listed. 4188 is transportation. 2140 is nurse services. And I will double check. There's supposed to be one more category listed for technology that is not here. So I'll double check that and I'll make sure that I put that in the FAQs as well. But those are the function codes. And again, they'll be available for you on your in the email from Erica, as well as in the slide deck. Okay. So you'll notice, let me go back to. Okay, so you see this section here, just so that you can get a view of what we're talking about down here in the lower right-hand corner where it says remaining budget. Okay. Okay, so what this is talking about is this is what you've requested, the total. If there's any adjustments based off of the allocation that you receive once you're awarded the grant, that would come here. And this is this would be the remaining. So the amount will be negative until you have your allocation has been loaded. So when you're looking at that, don't let it scare you or throw you off. The key to look at here right now is the total, and that's how much you have budgeted for that particular category. Okay. Next up is a budget overview page. And the budget overview page is not something that you can change or adjust. It is strictly an overview for you to be able to see all of the categories, function codes that you have selected. So right now in this example, we'd only selected 2110. And so this is the overview, the 2110 in the object code 1090 010 to 199, we have $5,000. If you had selected 2215, it would show up here under function code and the amount that you have selected for that particular function code. So all that will show up in list form here. And if you have more than one location, you'll be able to see that. All right, so validations. So in the middle of your, back on your section screen, again, that's the screen you're navigating from, you'll see a validation section. And that will have the messages for anything that you need to make sure you're aware of, or that you need to fix, correct, be aware of as you're writing the grant. Maybe some warning or just a reminder of information that you need to have. And so again, here are some validation examples: not having any budgeted line items, not uploading your related documents. All that information would be requested or would be identified in those message warnings. And again, there are, well, not again, but there are two types of warning. There are errors where you may have done a calculation may be out of line, or the wrong information placed in one of the boxes. Then it's going to give you an error message, and it's not going to allow you to submit the application. There's also going to be a warning, so just to point out potential issues, to remind you, for example, your external evaluator is limited to 3% of your overall application budget. So that would be the warning. And each message will, you can click the review right here. And so it'll take you to, oh, I'm sorry. So it'll take you to that screen so that you can take a look at it and verify your own information. Okay, once you have, and I think, well, let me go back just so you're aware. Let's see. I just don't want anybody to miss anything, because with eGap training, we've talked primarily about the budget, but I want to make sure that you are okay, draft started. Underneath this section, it has the narrative, and that's where you're going to input the actual grant itself. So your application details is where you're putting all of your narratives. So in the eGap application or the RFA that you've received, you'll see all of the sections that are listed, and it's asking you to tell us information about each of those sections, whether that is the needs assessment, transportation, external evaluator, or operations and management. That will all be under application details. And within that application details are the individual sections for you to provide the narratives on all that information. Additionally, there's a related document section. And so you'll note in the RFA, it asks you to upload particular items, the assurances, for example. And so that's where that will go, all under related documents. So the three sections that you'll be using in this, or inputting information in, would be application details, related documents, and the budget. Okay. Okay. Now, once you've done all that, you're going to need to obviously submit the application. And the user with the role of the 21st Century Director in the eGap system will be able to click the draft completed. Do not click draft completed until you are ready to finish the application. You don't want to push the button before you have everything in the system. Once you've clicked draft completed, it then moves up the proverbial chain to the next person, which would be your chief financial officer. Your chief financial officer would then review it and approve it. And from there, it would move to the superintendent. And the superintendent would approve it and it would be submitted to the state. So before you get to this point, you need to make sure all of your information is in the eGap system and all your ducks are in a row and you've made all your checks and done everything. Please make sure you do not wait until the RFA deadline date, which is July 22nd. You don't want to wait till then before you're doing this. A lot of times when that happens, the system gets overloaded or there are too many people and things are very, very slow. So please do not wait until the drop dead date. You also want to make sure that we have an opportunity to answer any questions or help you with any glitches before that Friday. So please make sure that you are working through this. You have almost 2 months to complete it. Now, printing the application. You can print the application as a PDF. You can print any part of it or all of it that you choose. You can, once you get to your sections page, there's a little print button to the right and you can select print. If the pop-up blocker is turned off for eGap 2.0, then you can do that. So please make sure you've done that in advance. You can print the entire application or any section of the application that you choose so that you have a hard copy. So here is again the sections navigation page. If you want to print everything, or if you just want to print your application, so everything, obviously the print here, or if you're just interested in printing the 21st century application or just the budget or any individual part of that, you can do that from this page. Also note there is a timer on eGap. It is a 60-minute timer. So if it is just sitting for 60 minutes, it will time out and you will have to sign back in. Let me stop here. And any additional questions, Annette, that we need to address right now?
We have two. Is there a character limit in the application details? That will be in the FAQ.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Is there a character limit in the application?
You're really, really
details?
low.
Is there a character limit in the application details?
I can't hear anything. Now I can hear you. I'm sorry.
Is there a character limit in the application details?
Again, that's the question that we will have to get back to you on. I think it is 5,000. Okay, it was just confirmed. So it is characters and it's 5,000 characters, not 5,000 words. That those character limits include spaces. So please make sure when you're inputting your information, I would not waste a whole lot of space on, you know, 2 lines in between paragraphs and stuff like that. That's not necessary, particularly if you're going to be using all 5,000 characters in a given section. So please make sure you're abreast of that because it will cut it off when it actually shows up in the application.
Okay. Our other question is they have numerous sites within their LEA. They would like to know if they can complete each site as they finish the RFA or if they need to wait and submit all at once.
They have to be submitted all at once. Once you hit the submit button, it submits everything. And that's it. Okay, so let's continue.
Um,
Oh,
Camille,
okay.
you may want to mention too, if they've done their data and all their work within a Word document, copy and pasting that over, some things they need to look for with that.
Well, the biggest issue when you are copying and pasting again is those spaces and font size. I think it lists, I don't recall whether it's 11 or 12 font size that will go into the actual application, but make sure you are abiding by that so that you do have room to put everything in. Okay. Let's continue. So the printing process, after you click print and the print request screen appears, then you can print. Please make sure you put in your email address because it's going to send you the information as a PDF in order to print it. It'll show that it's generating the document. And then it'll have sent it to the email address that is right here that you've placed in the screen, and then you're able to print it from there. Okay, and that is the conclusion of our training. If you have any additional questions, we can unmute you now, or we can have you go ahead and unmute yourself and feel free to ask any questions.
Good morning. This is Michelle from Civil Rights Institute.
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. One of our principals has now decided that he does want to go ahead and apply for the grant. Do we still need to fill out the form one and send it to you guys with the superintendent's signature, or since we're already in eGap as a current and a new grantee, will we still need to do it, or?
So if you would send us a letter of intent, that would be helpful. And the reason why we want to make sure that we are getting letters of intent for all applicants is that allows us to make sure that we have sufficient peer reviewers. At the end of this process, we know that we are close to the beginning of the grant year before we are able to make our announcement. The more reviewers we have, the faster we are able to get your grants reviewed and scored and to the superintendent for approvals. So we want to get those announcements done as quickly as possible. So if you let us know who's applying, then we can make sure we have all of the necessary grant reviewers to take a look at your applications. So yes, please, if you would.
Awesome, thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions? No question is one question.
I'm sorry, Hector, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, on the eGap, I'm looking at the related documents and it's asking for forms 2, 3, 5, 6, 12, and 13. Do you have a link where we can download the document itself so we can type it in, make it look pretty? Because right now everything is in PDF form.
Everything's in the PDF form in the RFA. So let me see if I can work on that, and I will make sure that we address that in the either Friday notes or in the FAQs to see if we can make those PDFs fillable. Yeah, let me work on that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille, for presenting and going through everything. I know it's quite a bit of information. Like I said, Erica will be sending that out and the recording in her Friday updates, or you can email us here. And once we have all that information, we can send it back to you. If you're having trouble with eGap, please email me or email the 21st Century, and we will work on that this afternoon and first thing tomorrow. Anything else? We're excited to have everybody here and look forward to receiving all your applications. I would encourage you, as Camille said, to not wait until the last minute to get in here and make sure you can access everything. And then to be careful with your copy and pasting. But other than that, good luck and thank you.